the encounter between Jesus and the Samaritan woman is, or could be, our own encounter with Jesus. We see how she begins by arguing with Jesus. She doesn't even refer to him as prophet or Messiah at first. She keeps calling him sir, sir, like he's just any other random guy or random person, random man that she meets. But then as they continue conversing and she begins to understand what he's talking about and to understand him a bit more, then she moves from that ordinary title that you can give just to anybody to calling him prophet. Are you a prophet? Are you a prophet? Then later she refers to him as a Messiah. And when she says Messiah, from that moment, she drops her jar and she goes to the village to tell everyone that she has met the Messiah. And the gospel ends with, they all came and believed. The Samaritans and the Jews were not friends. They differed on many things. First of all, the Samaritans never accepted the Torah, the first 5 books of the Old Testament. They never accepted them. But those books were very important to the Jews. So they differed on that aspect. The Samaritans also did not accept or not very happy that the temple, after it was destroyed by the Babylonians and it was rebuilt, they were not happy that it was rebuilt in Jerusalem. They wanted it to be rebuilt in their territory, but it was done in Jerusalem. So, and because of that, they couldn't even go to the temple to worship anymore. They were not happy on that point as well. Many other issues brought conflict between the two tribes, and so it was difficult for them to relate, to talk to each other. So the conversation between Jesus, a Jew, and this woman who is a Samaritan breaks that conflict, that there is no conflict anymore, that the two tribes can relate, can talk to each other. There's also another cultural thing or aspect or element that Jesus breaks, that Jesus and this woman break. It was not allowed for a married woman to be talking to another man in public unless she was with her husband. No wonder the disciples are surprised when they find Jesus talking to this woman. But what is interesting is that this woman didn't even think that Jesus could know that she was married, that she was a married woman. When he says to her, go and call your husband, she says, I have no husband. Then he says, yes, actually you're right that you have no husband, because even the one you have is not yours. She must have grabbed him from somebody. Even the one, then she's like, hey, are you a prophet? How do you know all these things? Because I've not told you about. Then he goes into her private life to give more detail to what he knows about her. That she was married many times. She married the first. Whatever happened, he died. She married another and another and another. The one she has now is a husband, but not really her husband. So he goes into her private life. Then she's like, this person is not just an ordinary person. There's something special about this one. There's also something that we need to note here about the water. Jesus says, give me something to drink. Give me some water. Then she says, but I am a Samaritan. How can a Jew, you, a Jew, ask for water from me, a Samaritan? That doesn't happen. Then he says, if you knew the person that is asking you for water, you would have been the one to ask for water from him. Really? But how would you have given me that water? You don't even have a jar. She's still thinking about physical water. She's still thinking about water from the well. Then he says, what I give is living water. It's not physical water. It's not the water that you are thinking about. It is the water that when you take it, you never be thirsty again. Give me that water so that I can drink. I don't want to be coming back to the well to be drawing. Give me that water so that when I take it and my children, my family, we are never thirsty again. She's still thinking in a very physical manner. And so Jesus takes time to catechize her. Catechesis is very important for our faith to grow. Jesus goes into catechism and he begins to explain, and she's there listening, and she understands. You can see now the questions that she begins to ask later are questions that seek to deepen her faith. And that is why now she's even now at this point referring to him as a Messiah. Are you a Messiah? Because Samaritans were waiting for a Messiah, just like the Jews. But the difference between the Messiah that the Samaritans were waiting for is that they were waiting for a Messiah who would come and explain the whole truth to them. And when she listens to Jesus, she's listening to somebody who's explaining the whole truth to her. The Jews were not waiting for a Messiah that would do that. They were waiting for a Messiah that would come and give them political freedom. That's what they were looking for. But the Messiah that the Samaritans were looking for was somebody to come and to explain to them the whole truth. And when this woman listens to Jesus, this is the Messiah that she says, this is it. Are you the one that we've been waiting for? From that moment, she's not thirsty anymore. She drops her jar, runs back to the village to tell the people that I have met a Messiah. I have met a prophet. I have met someone that has told me everything that I've done. Come and see. And the whole village goes out to see this Messiah. The progression of faith that we see in this encounter is that the woman is still thinking about the physical water, still looking at Jesus as an ordinary man. Now moving to looking at him or considering him as a prophet. And then from there, because of the explanation, the catechesis that happens, he explains to her the whole truth. She refers to him as the Messiah. She doesn't keep that to herself. You know, when you encounter Jesus and you experience that growth in your faith, you don't keep it to yourself anymore. It's like you have been put on fire to go and share it. See those people who love gossiping, eh? When you have a story to tell, it's like you can't keep it. You are looking for someone to tell. It's like something is itching. This story. That woman, she can't keep it to herself. So she goes to the village to tell the good story. The difference between a gossiper and this woman is that she's going to share the good story. Gossipers don't share really good stories. It's always damaging stories. But this woman goes to share her testimony. She goes to share her good story with everyone, and they come to believe. How much of that testimony are we telling to others for the purpose that they too come to believe that indeed Jesus is the Messiah, Jesus is the prophet, Jesus is the Son of God? How much of that encounter are we sharing? Or are we keeping it just to ourselves? We live in a world that is becoming more political centered, more technological centered, and so faith is threatened. People don't come to church as much as they used to do. People don't believe in religion as much as they used to. People don't think it is important to have God in their life as much as they used to. Our faith is threatened, and it is our duty as believers in God, those of us that still have our faith intact, to share it with the world so that Jesus can return his space, can come back to that space in human activities. Otherwise, if we don't do anything, the world will just go towards that direction. Technology will be regarded as a god in the end. But our faith has to be shared for Jesus to come back to the center stage. How much of that are we sharing? In the first reading, the people are very annoyed with Moses because they don't have water. They don't have water. Jesus in the gospel is talking about living water, the water that quenches your thirst forever. In the first reading, the Israelites are crying about the physical water. They take it today, tomorrow they'll still need it. They'll still be thirsty. And Moses is scared because they might as well just stone him. You brought us out here to suffer. At least where we were, we used to have the basic needs. We used to have water and all that. And of course, we hear that Moses is instructed by God to hit the stone and then they have the water. But that is physical water. When we center our faith in God, our relationship in God, just on physical things, physical things fade. They go away. Because it is because of not having water that these people rebel against God. They don't want to believe in God anymore because they don't have water. Some of us don't want to believe in God anymore because we don't have that physical material that we held or we hold dear to. Our relationship with God is based on physical things. I don't have money, therefore I can't believe in God anymore. I've not managed to buy a house or to buy a car. God has not granted that prayer, therefore I can't believe in Him anymore. It is just centered on the physical things. But physical things come and go. You buy a very expensive car today, tomorrow it is involved in an accident and it is gone. You build a very expensive house today, tomorrow it burns down. These are physical things. These are things that belong to this world. Now, when we lose all these things that we hold dear to, what do we remain with? We should remain with our faith in God. Because faith is supposed to endure through all the times, bad and good times. It's supposed to endure. But if our faith is based on the material things, that is where now we begin to distance ourselves from Him. The faith of the Israelites was based on something material, such that when that thing was not there anymore, they did not want to have anything to do with God anymore. They distanced themselves. How is our faith growing? And if it is growing, how is it helping others to grow as well? The encounter of the Samaritan woman and Jesus is our own encounter. And when we encounter Jesus in this manner, we do not need physical water anymore. We do not need any physical thing anymore because we have something precious, something that is supposed to endure, and that is faith. But are we allowing this faith to grow so that we should be able to go out and tell that testimony, tell that story? I think the challenge is up to you and I to be carriers of this message, the message of our encounter with Christ, to be carriers of this message so that when we go out and we see that the world is becoming more and more faithless, we try to put ourselves in action so that we bring back what our world is losing. We bring back Jesus in the center of our activities. If we do not do anything, those of us that believe, if we don't do anything, others may not believe. If this woman had not done anything after believing, the whole village back home could not have believed, could not even have known that the Messiah was in their midst. Amen.